Every time the religious say that they've got proofs for God, I just have to laugh. They don't know what the hell proof is. They have no evidence. It's all just bald assertions and wishful thinking, while they just assume that everyone is just like they are, and that's demonstrably not true. So I guess we'll have to go and try it again. But this has never worked out in the past, but hey, maybe this time. I don't know. I guess we're going to have to go and see. Let's address a couple of supposed proofs for God, which I'm fairly certain won't turn out to be proofs at all. Mostly, these are just, here's what I believe, and if you don't agree, then you're just a mean poopy head. I mean, that's kind of the level of maturity that we get from the religious most of the time, even from the big names. This one comes from a channel called New Theist, and we're probably going to find someone on fire for the Lord while hemorrhaging IQ points. I could be wrong at that, but that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. So let's go in and explore this together. Maybe he'll have something intelligent to say.
You serious?
I finished reading The Experience of God by David Bentley Hart.
Now, I haven't read the book, but I do know something about it. Hart is a well-known Christian writer who has authored 24 books. He focuses on a lot of Christian metaphysics, philosophy, stuff like that. And this book in particular tries to justify the existence of God and exploring some of the Christian metaphysical concepts. In a lot of ways, it's sort of like William Lane Craig's Reasonable Faith, except none of it is reasonable at all. I mean, neither of them are, but that's not really a surprise. I've heard from a fair number of theists that this book will convert an atheist, but I've also heard from a fair number of atheists that have read it that it does nothing remotely of the sort. Like all other books like this, at least the ones that I've read, it just assumes that all of the Christian beliefs are true without any rational justification at all, and it expects all atheists who read it to just automatically accept that those beliefs are gospel truth without actually having any of it backed up. And we all know that doesn't work. So that's what I know about the book, if it matters in the context of this video, which I don't know if it does or not. So let's get back and see if it does.
Let me save you a lot of time and a lot of headache and convey to you what I think it all comes down to.
That would be helpful, because we see a lot of apologists just bloviating over their faith, and I'd much rather have the short version of it if I could. That way I can respond to your basic points, and we can either have a discussion or not based on what we can agree on and what we might never see eye to eye on. And that's why I'm really not talking to a lot of theists these days, because they never have anything new to say. They just repeat the same old tired nonsense over and over and over again, and they don't have any interest in justifying anything to us. It's like the theist who posted on Reddit today that said, if you had to be a Christian, what sect of Christianity would you belong to? And pretty much everybody said, none of the above. And he kept getting mad because he couldn't understand why everybody didn't want to be just like he was, even though most people were telling him exactly why they wouldn't. Hell, I think I said something like, I don't want to be a Christian because I'd need a lobotomy first. And he just got pissed. I mean, seriously, learn to take a couple steps back already. It's really not that hard.
All of this argument for God, does God exist, does he not exist? It's becoming clear that it just comes down to whether or not you believe rationality is real. That's it. If you want to believe in God, figure out if you believe in rationality, and then it's over. You don't have to struggle anymore.
But you're wrong, because if you do accept rationality, then you really can't accept any gods, because gods are not rational. It is rational to accept things for which you have corroboratory evidence, which you simply don't have for any gods. All of the made-up beliefs about gods in the world, none of them matter until you can show that any of it is verifiably true, and I figure that's where he's going to go wrong. Just like the guy who thought everybody would just want to be a Christian if given a chance. This guy likely thinks that everybody really wants to believe in his imaginary friend, and we don't. At least not until we have the evidence to back it up. And that simply doesn't exist, no matter how much the religious wish it really did. So I can already predict what's going to happen, but since I haven't seen it yet, I'm going to have to wait until he says what I'm pretty sure he's going to say. That's how response videos work after all. So, I guess back to him, huh?
That's my learning as of just like today and yesterday. It all comes down to rationality on both sides.
I bet you don't know what the hell that means. So let's define it. Rationality is the quality of being based on or in accordance with logic or reason. That means that if you have to rely on faith, then you're not being rational. Faith is the very antithesis of rationality. Rationality doesn't care how you feel or what you want. It is what is best supported by the demonstrable evidence and by critical evaluation, and religion simply doesn't qualify. So if your stated goal is to be rational, then you have just taken religion entirely off the table. You cannot be religious, for the most common forms of religion at least, just like you can't be rational and a flat earther or a evolution denier, because those things are demonstrably false. So what else do you have? Make it good.
Forget about all this argument over the fine-tuning, contingency. Forget about evolution, natural selection, the design, the flagellum, the eye. Forget about all that stuff. Forget about the multiverse.
Yes, because none of that matters. There either is a god, or multiple gods, or there isn't. Keep in mind, we are nowhere remotely close to finding out which God exists, if any do. Let's just determine if the concept of gods means anything in the real world first, before we start talking about that. And guess what? So far as we can tell, the answer is no. It doesn't matter what you wish was true, only what is demonstrably true, and there are no demonstrable gods anywhere that we can find. And it's the evidence that makes one rational, not the childish wishes and dreams. So yes, forget all the extraneous bullshit and the empty claims and the faith and all that crap. Let's find out if the concept is even rational in the first place. And so far, the answer is, of course not. It's absolutely stupid. But then again, look who we're talking to.
If you got 4 years to spend reading dozens and hundreds of books, go for it. But it will end up coming down to whether or not rationality is real.
And it is. Granted, it is something that we just made up, just like lots of other things. We invented mathematics. We invented logic. They are useful tools in evaluating the real world around us. Rationality is the same thing. It helps us make sense of the world in which we live. It's not magic, which I think is another thing that the religious typically get wrong. They look out into the world and they see magic. We look out there and we see mysteries to solve. So far as we have ever seen, every mystery that we have ever come across, they've all had a natural explanation. We have yet to find one that didn't. Yet for the religious, and we know it isn't only them, but they keep saying, yes, the last 500 mysteries that we found, they all had natural explanations, but this one will be different. Nope, it won't. There is no rational reason to think that. There is no reason to leap to gods. The world is what the world is, and we haven't found any reason yet to suspect that there's anything out there that goes beyond nature. Now, we may not understand nature sufficiently to answer all the questions, but that's our own ignorance. That's not magic. So far as we can tell, there is no magic. Not once in all of human history has the answer to any question demonstrably been, God done it. So stop making a fool of yourself. Come back when you have evidence to prove that your claims are justified. Until then, you're just making yourself look stupid.
And it's simple. If rationality is real, God is real. I'm sorry. That's all it is.
And that's just a claim. Claims don't mean anything without corroboration. It's just something that you really wish was true. And this is pretty much where all theists fail, because they are expressing opinions as if they were demonstrable truths, and they're not. I really like this idea means nothing. This is where he doesn't understand what being rational is. Now, maybe he'll explain moving forward, I don't know, but somehow I kind of doubt it, don't you? This is about the time that I went looking into his comments, and where he got criticized, and he got criticized a lot, he started the standard theist fare, I know you are, but what am I? This is the level of discourse that these people are capable of. He just wants it to be true. But that doesn't make it true. It's why every last one of these people are idiots, because this is how they behave. I trust no one is remotely surprised.
If rationality is real, then rationality cannot come from random bashing of particles.
And that's how we know that this guy has no real education. This would honestly be the point that I just walk away from this guy in a discussion, because only a true moron says anything like that. Now, I don't get to do that with a video, otherwise every video on my channel would be really, really short. Nope, you're just too stupid to deal with, and that would be the end of it. Trust me, I wish I could do that sometimes. In fact, I am finding myself just walking away more and more often from atheist call-in show videos, because the theists, they're basically all this quality. Empty assertions, presented confidently, avoiding all questions put to them because they really can't say anything intelligent. Why would I waste my time on any of this stuff? I mean, honestly, why should you? But I guess we're already here and committed, so let's get back and see where this goes.
Such that the new atheists claim, or scientists claim, the universe is. You can't get rationality from that process. You can't get real rationality. You can only get an illusion, a useful form of rationality. It's fake. It's pseudo-rationality.
And how do you know that? Because all the evidence, once again, points to exactly that, and because rationality is useful to us, that's why we use it. Of course, he's treating it like magic, like I said he would. They fundamentally do not understand the world around them, which is why they spend all of their time in a magical happy land in their heads, because that's what they really wish was true. There are things that they just really want to be so. They just have no corroboratory support for any of it, but hey, it's just got to be true because, well, they say so. And then they make videos on the internet and prove what a bunch of dumbasses they are to everybody with a brain. This is not going to impress anyone who isn't already on your side, which is why he's not responding to any of his detractors down in the comments of his own video with more than, nuh-uh, because that's really all he can do. He's been brainwashed, and now he's just proving what a complete dipshit he is. And that is not a good thing. Not at all.
But if you believe that rationality is real, is mathematical, is transcendent...
What? What the fuck?
It's not transcendent. That's your problem right there. You are looking for magic, and magic isn't real. He is looking for his imaginary friend and declaring anything that either doesn't understand the reality of or just doesn't like the actual answers to. Well, that's just got to be the realm of the divine, right? Except there is no divine indemonstrable reality. You have no evidence for that, and your faith means nothing. It's no wonder these people are so messed up, right? This is kind of who they are. So no, rationality is not transcendent. That's ridiculous. Anything that he's about to say based on that false belief is also going to be ridiculous. So let's get back and see just how far the stupidity goes. And I figure, based on current experience, that it's got to go pretty far.
Then it can only come from another rational entity. It can only be passed to you. It cannot be chaotically formed.
This is a prime example of where the religious go sideways, isn't it? I can't imagine that all of the stuff that I believe isn't true, so it is. This is where you need to take that one gigantic leap backwards that I keep talking about, but the religious simply refuse to do so. I don't think they're capable. This is the point where you really need to say, hey, wait a minute, and start questioning your base preconceptions. But they can't do that. They refuse. Because this stuff really feels good. And when people come along and refute their beliefs, as has happened in the comments of his own video many times, all he can do is react emotionally. He can't say, hey, maybe they might be right. Because these people are not rational. They're just not.
So, if you believe in rationality, you believe in God. That's it. Submit, to be honest.
Welcome to Argument by Assertion, because that's all he's doing. I was honestly hoping for better than this, but I suppose I shouldn't have been, because this is painfully common among the religiously deluded. Well, of course I'm right, because I just want to be. But that doesn't mean anything. But I want to be. This is how immature children act, isn't it? Because that's who these people really are. He's just sitting there proclaiming complete bullshit to be true, not because it's true, but because he really likes it, but because he's self-confident that his beliefs can't be wrong, even though they laughably are. He's just proving how much the religious mind poison damages your mental processes. This is, again, why they spend so much time saying, from a Christian perspective, and crap like that, because they think that just because they believe it, somehow that makes it true. And they're just wrong. The real world is the real world, whether you like it or not, and if your beliefs do not reflect that reality, then you are simply wrong. And they don't much like that, do they?
I mean, go ahead. Once you believe in rationality, go ahead and believe in Christianity. Go ahead and believe in Jesus as resurrected. Totally plausible. I mean, that's fine.
Only if you're a complete moron. Because even if we allow that, just for the sake of argument, it doesn't get you to Christianity, does it? A Hindu could say that rationality proves the existence of Brahma. Ancient Egyptians could claim that it proves the existence of Ra. We could go down the list of every single religion that has ever proposed a creator God and do the exact same thing. You haven't proven your case, even if you really like the idea. But the religious of pretty much any stripe out there, they all just want to assume it, don't they? They can't prove it, but hey, it sounds good to them. So what happens when they get in a room with someone who disagrees? Or who agrees on the concept, but not on the conclusion? What do they do then? That's when a whole lot of screaming and probably bloodshed takes place, because the religious have never shown themselves to be particularly honest or calm interlocutors. They just have to be right because they say so. But that doesn't make any of them right. It just makes them all look dumb.
Because if you believe in rationality, you believe in God. You don't have to do any soul searching. You don't have to go to take ayahuasca and try to see spirits. You don't have to do anything. You're done.
No, the word that you're looking for here is dumb. This is kind of how a lot of these arguments work with the religious, right? Here's some shit I don't understand, therefore God done it. Which God? Their God? Why? Because they say so. This is just argument by bald assertion, nothing more. This is about as deep as it gets, sadly, and every religion out there does it. We've done Muslim videos, same thing. I've done some Hindu videos over on Patreon, same thing. We're right because we're right because we really want to be right, so we're right, so there. I don't believe you. Then you're evil and we should kill you, or something like that. But they can't justify any of this outside of their own ridiculous worldview. Just because you really like the idea, that doesn't make it true. And that's something that they simply cannot get through their heads, because there's something really wrong with them upstairs.
Your proof is done. If, however, you believe rationality is fake, then, well, you know what you are. You're a new atheist, and you believe everything is random and chaotic. Nothing can really be explained. Nothing needs an explanation. Your desire for explanation is just is made up. So that's what I'll say about that.
So he not only doesn't know what rationality is, he's got no clue what atheism is, nor what atheists have to say. Somehow, that's not remotely surprising, is it? At least not to me, because we've done hundreds and hundreds of religious videos, and that's pretty much the theme running beneath the surface of every single one of them. Blatant ignorance and wishful thinking because they can't handle actually living in the real world. That's why he's reacting like he is in his own comments. So that was the first of his 2 simple proofs, and I'll give him this. It certainly was simple. Or maybe that was just him. This is really common for the religious, and it's why we spend so much time laughing at these morons, because they've earned nothing else. Then they just cry and complain that somehow they're victims. No, you're just idiots who have earned every ounce of derision that you've gotten. Maybe knock it off. Maybe that might help. But they can't do that because that might hurt their precious widow fee-fees, and they can't have that. So this is where we're going to stop for the day, obviously, with the shorter of his 2 supposed proofs. Next time, we'll pick up right here, and the video will be, I'm guessing, significantly longer. At least that's what I'm thinking based on the length that I'm seeing, and, you can figure that out yourself. And of course, that has to assume that there's just as much stupidity that needs to be addressed, so take that as you will. We're about 1/3 of the way into his video, and I'm really hoping that I can just wrap it up next time, but I never really know until I get there, so take that with a grain of salt or a handful or whatever. All I can promise is that I'll try. Anyway, what did you think of any of this? Clearly, he's not talking to atheists, and he got taken completely by surprise by the number of people in his comments that just slammed him, which I think explains his childish responses. If you can't even address the substance of the comments and even attempt to respond, then you got problems, brother, and this guy has problems. But let me know what you think of this part, and we'll be back next week to hopefully wrap it up in the next one. Because this is really, really, really dumb. But the religious will never understand, will they? Because they're just not smart enough to figure it out for themselves. And sadly, that's not much of a surprise, is it?